it. It's a great tool. It's very simple, but it is extremely powerful. I do it all the time whenever I take over a new department, or even sometimes when I'm looking at an implementation of a product or a system in place. I do this. And so it's easy. I call it the 4 box. Again, nothing here is going to be rocket science, but if you implement this over and over again, it will make a huge difference in the way that other people understand, and it allows you understand your goals, but it also allows you to identify those areas where you need to focus more resources on. So simple 4 box you might be familiar with. And so on the vertical side, we're gonna put that as resources. Okay. And so oftentimes that's money, that's people's time, that's if you're in an organization that has volunteers, it could be any number of things, but resources here. And then in the bottom, going across, we're going to call that impact. Okay, so as we think about this, very easy. When you look at this, this would be high resources and low impact. This would be low resources and low impact, and this would be low resources, high impact, low resources, and then high impact, high resources. All right, so again, not rocket science, but when you ask questions and you go through it, I did this a couple of years ago when I took over the marketing team, and they weren't functioning at an extremely high level, and so I was asked to come in and lead that team for a bit. It ended up being about a year and a half to get the team into the right place. When you ask a question right up front and you give the team the opportunity to fill this in, I did this both individually and with the team as a group. I started with the group, and I asked them as a group, we're going to do this 4 box, and under these scenarios, give me the things that would be in each box that you're currently doing that takes time and resources, and where they stand on impact. And one important caveat when you share this is that you need to never say, well, if this. It's not if, it's what is it actually right now. Because there are a lot of things that if something happens, it's not as much resources, or if something happens, it could be high impact, but we're not there yet. And so to get there, we have to identify where we are at today and then what resources. And I will tell you that the sole focus of this project for me to begin with is always focused on whatever's in this block. High resources, low impact. Because in this block, that block right there is what I call the vampires. Okay, so as we're going through and they start listing out all the things that are burning them up and that are not providing much value, but taking a lot of time, this list can fill up very quickly if it's a dysfunctional team. Okay, which is great, that's fine. Because what you're doing is you're identifying the things that they say are not making big impact, okay, and they say that are taking a lot of their time, energy, resources. And so ultimately those things are killing your team, and they're killing the results. And so what we've got to do is then focus on whatever's in this area and either move them here to low impact. There's nothing wrong with a low impact, low resource service that you have to have. It's a fundamental thing that the company needs. As long as you keep it in low impact, that's okay. I mean, in low resources, it's okay to have low impact. And how do you do this? How do you move something that's up here down to here? Usually that involves either interns, okay, or it involves outsource. But I got to get it off of my team up here because it's sucking the life out of them. Every time that they do it, they're thinking to themselves, why are they having me do this? This is a waste of my time and energy. I am so much more valuable than this. And every time they think that, you're not going to get production. Every time you think that, you're not going to get their heart. You're not winning them. You're losing them bit by bit by bit. You're sucking the life out of them. And so sometimes you can move things down to this level and reassign them and get some unpaid interns or some interns you're paying, or maybe you need to outsource it to another group that you could do it in an efficient and effective way. All right, if you can't move it there, can you move it here? Okay, so how do you take something that's already high resource but low impact and move it into a high resource and high impact? Well, oftentimes I call that layering, okay? And so if you're doing one thing, for one purpose, but maybe currently over here you're doing it for one thing for one purpose. It's a one-to-one. But can you do one thing and have 3 or 4 purposes over here if you just think about the impact of that one thing and how it can do more for your business? This takes a lot of experience, creativity, and problem solving. And so this is not an easy thing. It's not a natural thing for most people, but there are people who are gifted in taking something that is currently being done and is only creating a small amount of impact, and then look at it and find ways that it has more and more depth and impact to it. Lastly, if you can't move it here and you can't move it here, then you got to move it here, which is out. Sometimes there are things that that we consider to be sacred cows that we would not touch or we don't think's touchable, and it's literally killing the very culture that you're trying to create. And so, oftentimes I've had to say, we just got to get rid of it. It's not creating any real value. It's sucking the life out of them. And as a leader, you have to know when it is that you can move things out and potentially create greater value by getting rid of something that is actually sucking the life and the culture out of your organization. So this is a 4-box. You can use this 4-box for just about anything, whether it's a team. I often use it for myself personally on the things that are taking up my time and what kind of impact it's making toward my goals in life. And so this is a simple thing. You could change what it is that you're looking at. Sometimes it's not resources and impact. It might be something else that you want to evaluate, that you want to get into a box so that you can begin to understand. Ultimately anything in here is a winner. Here, a winner. Even here can be a winner. Just get everything out of here, because this is sucking the life out of your people.